core, he's kind of solid, but he's got a bit of cheese he can mix in there too. But as it stands currently, we are hopping into 2000 atmospheres and spawning in the bottom left as the pink Protoss. I've been told he prefers the pink pieces as it's I think just a happier look, he said, but he is Pigu's spawn.
All right, and in the top right, the blue Protoss, his first game in the tournament, it is Aerith Shiro. I realized I forgot to call out clan titles for Technical Cat.
Oh, right, yeah. And that's your own clan, is that correct?
Yeah. There are only like 4 of us, so...
Yeah, I get it. That's just like us, too. Honestly, I only just got my 4, too. I've been doing the same thing. I'm trying to throw in Pigus when I can, but I kind of just know these guys just based on, you know, their first names. Spawn, and then like their Discord names, trying to keep up with that, too.
Yes. Yeah.
It looks like this, if I'm Spawn already and I scout what he's about to see right now, I'm a very happy guy. I see nothing at the ramp, right? So I'm gonna probably pop down a second gate right off the bat and go double adept. As soon as I see that there's, oh, he might not do it, or his second gate might be a little bit late.
Interesting. It looks like they're doing the kind of like the typical, Cybercore into Nexus expand, but
yeah,
you usually go 2-gate right in PvP.
Yeah, that's the common meta, is to go 2-gate, just because of how much damage you can get down to 2 adepts.
Yep.
As we've seen already in this tournament, especially out of Spawn, he kind of prefers that type of approach. He's actually floating quite a bit of money right now, so he's kind of got to make up his mind what he wants to do. He's got 600 minerals in the bank. He's gonna pop down a Nexus and a second gas as well, and then the pylon. So spends his money, but
he just canceled the Nexus.
I would have liked to see those adepts. I'm sorry, what was that?
Interesting. Spawn canceled his Nexus.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Was it misplaced?
Yeah, that was the second time. Yeah, it must have been misplaced. But he canceled it 2 times. So
oh my god. Maybe the nerves are getting to him, man. Like, we've already seen a bit of that.
That's true, actually. Yeah, that's something I mentioned. If you win this match, you go to the finals, right? And regardless of your performance in the finals, first place, second place, you still make some money. So
yeah, that's right. And again, there's $70 up for grabs for first place and $30 for second place. So yeah, there is a bit of stakes. Probably more than these guys are used to laddering in gold, So
yeah.
The nerves can kind of get to you, right? And it looks like that's kind of happened already with Spawn. I feel for the guy because his first match was up against a person with very little ladder experience, but somehow had the Masters border, so that can kind of be intimidating. Yeah. For me, even still, like, I've been facing Masters people for a long time, but still, it's it's intimidating to face someone with that border, especially when you're in gold, right?
Yes, that's definitely true. Honestly, I find it intimidating now, and I even have it, so...
Okay, it looks like we're just gonna get a single adept. Maybe use that for some scouting. I don't see oh my god, what are they called? I don't see a sentry, is what I was looking for.
Sentry,
for Spawn. And then that's typically what they'll do to scout. Yeah, that adept not really getting much done there. Maybe one shot going off on a probe there. That's about it. Typically you'll see, if you're not opening up with some kind of aggressive opener like a double adept, double stalker, 4 stalker pressure, that kind of thing, you'll see a stalker and a sentry, and you'll hallucinate a phoenix to go kind of keep tabs on what your opponent's doing. And right now Spawn's kind of in the dark. He doesn't really see anything. He sees a couple stalkers at the front. He kind of gets an idea of how many probes are over on the other side of the map, but that's about it.
Spawn is making an oracle, so he might be able to get some damage in. But Shiro is going stalkers into blink, so if Shiro's in position, then she should be able to defend well.
Right. Oh, and these stalkers actually almost intercepted that oracle. Almost. That would have been great. Now they're kind of just out in no man's land, though. No shield battery behind either, so this could be a lot of damage if that oracle does decide to go in. We are seeing a void ray behind it for Spawn. Let's get a first-person view. He is going to move in that oracle right now. What does he decide to do? Is he going to turn the lasers on? Yes, he is. He's been known to drop down stasis wards as well, but this is going to be huge damage. He's trying to macro behind it, but this is already a lot of workers going down.
Yeah, 8 workers.
Yeah, 8 workers going down. The laser, I think, is still on. No, it got turned off. Okay. So So it's still in position for another attack. It's actually kind of out of position. These stalkers can reach it. They're not going to. Now they're getting controlled. Okay, and in that time, Spawn is able to react. Still good damage though. Good damage. Spawn is now up by 3 workers. And we see the gases taken at the natural here for Shiro. Gases are going to have to be put back on in the main as well. Behind all that, Spawn is taking a 3rd base. And he still has that Oracle as an aggressive option. So we'll see how that plays out.
I do think it would be good to mention too, Spawn misplaced his Nexus 2 times, and so his Nexus finished, you know, it was about double the time later than Shiro's. So if his Nexus was in the right place, he wouldn't be as far behind right now.
Yeah.
And so he's ahead, but he could have been farther ahead.
That's right. We're getting some tabs on Shiro's army there, actually, and comboing that with a bit of harass too, keeping an eye on where that army is just to make sure he can get away with a bit more attacks. Some of the focus fire a bit lacking there towards the end, but still even gets another 3 probes for damage. Blink is finished, so it is kind of miraculous, honestly, that he's keeping that Oracle alive as long as he has.
Yeah, so Shiro is getting charged right now, and so I think if he attacks once he finishes with charge, his army is about the same size, and he might be able to overpower Spawn just in sheer numbers.
Yeah.
Spawn does have a couple of Void Rays though, but we'll see. I mean, Shiro's got a good Stalker count, so.
I'd like to see. He's got the aggressive pylon here. I don't know if he's going to drop down some batteries with that as well. That'd be nice to see. This is kind of like the gold tactic, you know. You don't really see too much like proxy shield battery stuff, even though in saying that I've just recently seen some proxy shield batteries against Terrans and Colossus. You can't really take a fight against that, but I don't know if we'll see that here. The armies are trading places now.
Yeah, let's see if we can do the base trade or if someone decides to go home.
Yeah. Oh,
doesn't look like it.
Okay, Spawn sees the position of Shiro's army, and he's going to move in with his army as well. That Oracle stays alive, and now Shiro deciding to chase after these Void Rays, and nothing's happening. There is an overcharge on these Void Rays, but they're not attacking anything. Spawn realizing that a bit late, but he at least saves the Void Rays, and this 3rd base is probably gonna have to be evacuated. 1 Stalker being sent back just to check and make sure he's not getting flanked by that army. It is a bigger army than what he's currently got at the natural. He is reinforcing behind with these Void Rays. I hope that they don't rally into death. This Nexus is going down on the side of Shiro, and the 3rd base is going down on the side of Spawn. Very identical scenarios here. The Void Rays and the Zealots are going to fare pretty well against these Stalkers. There is no shield battery. There is. It's just a bit back. So very correctly pulling back to the security of that shield battery. Also,
we have a recall.
That's correct. Yeah. Recall into the natural. This is going to make quick work of these Stalkers, I believe. Oh my god, and a shield battery overcharge keeps that Void Ray alive. Okay, so this is looking like the damage that Spawn wanted to get done, he got done, and he kept a lot of his army alive. Kind of a runaway at this point with the army values.
I honestly was expecting Spawn would have just kept going to the main base, you know, and he could have won it there, but that recall I think was a good decision because now he has solid control over this game.
Yeah, not to mention he also keeps his at least a portion of his production alive by doing that, because if Shiro were to break into the natural, he's getting rid of 2 gates and a Stargate as well. So if you were to want to produce more units behind that, he wouldn't really necessarily be able to. He'd only have 1 gate and 1 Stargate to do so. And so a bit more of a base trading scenario here. We're gonna get the kill on the natural on the side of Shiro, and at the same time Shiro running some Zealots into the main of Spawn, and Spawn looks like he's just kind of attack moving while he deals with that. The pylons are going down on the side of Spawn as well. We're seeing a lot of units everywhere. Some of these probes are evacuating. None of them make it out. It looks like as soon as these Zealots get dealt with, I don't think, yeah, recall is not available for another 43, and these probes actually can fight. There's a shield battery remaining. GG's called anyways, so that's gonna wrap up game 1. Spawn.
That was an intense game.
That was so intense. Yes, very back and forth, lots of action on both sides of the map.
Yeah, but yeah, that's cool to see. You know, that was a I know oftentimes people talk about what separates, like better players and kind of lower players, but and a lot of times people say it's game or decision making. It's not mechanics, not just making stuff faster, but it's making the right decisions. And I think there we saw Spawn with that recall making the right decision. Definitely gave him the win there.
Right. Yeah, that was very good. Actually, pretty high APM out of both of those players too. When a lot of action kind of happens on both sides of the map, you see their APM kind of spike up. 111, yeah. I think, is pretty high. I think higher than we've seen in the tournament so far. It's up there anyways. Some of these players are typically below 100, so 111 is pretty good.
Yeah, I never really paid attention to it, but yeah, Dusty, we were seeing like 62, and yeah, 111 is definitely the highest so far.
Mm-hmm. Very good. All right.
Next map is Curious Minds.
Okay, I'll get that booted up. Just waiting on Shiro. Shiro's taking every last second they have. Give me a break, guys. I've known a few of these players to kind of charge into their next games. They're very excited to do that. And then I've known a few to kind of take it easy and relax. I need to smoke after that. Bigsby was like that for sure. He'd like to take about 5 minutes after every game. It can get pretty intense, especially as a Terran as well. Dropping everywhere, multitasking, lift landing your buildings, all that kind of stuff. So we do want to give the players at least a little moment to collect themselves, especially after a loss. You don't necessarily want to charge right in, but eventually we have to play game 2. And just make sure Shiro goes toss. There we go. Yeah. Very good.
Cool. So generally, I always thought this was the like the most Terran favored map. So it'll be interesting. First time we see it in the tournament will be a PvP.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna hop into game 2. I'd like to see some Phoenix stuff. I know that we've seen a few of these Protoss experiment with the Phoenix style. Phoenix in PvP can be really good. If you don't see Blink, if you see a lot more Immortal focus, you can kind of get a decent number of Phoenix up, even to the point where instead of lifting probes and harassing, you can start picking up army and whittling that down for sure. Especially if you're good at stacking them, you can limit the damage on all of your Phoenix, making it hard to focus fire. But we're gonna find out as we load up Curious Minds. Spawning down here in the bottom right of Curious Minds, the pink Protoss, he is P-Goose Spawn.
All right, and on the top left, the blue Protoss, Aerith Shiro.
I mentioned at the beginning of last game, I was a bit disappointed that Spawn didn't go with the double adept pressure. I know he's very good at it. And when you see a Protoss that stylistically chooses not to wall off their ramp, you can kind of abuse that. And it's kind of an indication of someone's ability to pick up things on the fly, not necessarily premeditate these strategies, but see them as they happen in real time. And especially if you scout the second time, you see that there's no ramp, you can think about these options on the fly and go, okay, I'm going to send that adept in, or both those adepts in, and kind of adjust your style. I think we're kind of seeing just a bit of autopilot out of these guys, which is fine, but I would like to see it. Perhaps if they were to go back and check these games out, they could see that that's an opening for them. PvP is largely decided by those first two units. If they are going double adept, you have to be able to see it coming and prepare properly. And that preparation means having a probe at your ramp ready to build a pylon or a shield battery, preferably, to be able to wall them out. A sentry force field is not enough. A unit in the wall is not enough. The shades will go through both of those things. So you have to physically block it out with a wall. as we see 2 Nexus built for both players right now, taking the naturals. 1 gate expand for both. 1 gas. Now taking the second is spawn. No second gas yet on the side of Shiro.
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna get another long macro game just like last one.
Yeah, we are seeing a chrono boost on the warp gate though, and that can kind of be a tell that someone wants to be, actually for both players, that they want to be a bit aggressive. This is almost identical builds at this point.
Yep. Just different units. Looks like we're getting an adept out of spawn and a stalker out of Shiro.
Yeah, I'd like to see some tech drop down right now. Perhaps if spawn is going for double gas, he might opt for Stargate again. But at this point, both players can afford a Twilight or a Robo, and so we see a Twilight on the side of Shiro. That is more of a style that I prefer to play. I really like Blink Stalkers. I find them very useful offensively and defensively. Spawn is opting to send his adept to the corner of the map. I don't know if he's just checking for like a proxy nexus. I don't think everybody does that as much as you do, Spawn. It's okay. You don't have to check the corners of the map, my guy.
So we see the Stargate from spawn, so we might get the Phoenix, but I think he's been going Oracles all the other games. I think that's what we'll see here.
Right, and that's another thing too. Like, if you do decide to go Oracles in one game and you notice that they don't necessarily have shield batteries, hold that thought. We got an adept in the natural and no units in place to be able to deal with that. So yeah, oh well, we got a stalker a little bit positioned below. Another stalker on the ramp, perhaps going to follow that shade into the main. Yep. So nice. Yeah, okay. And nice probe pull there too as well. And a little bit of target firing out of spawn would get some probes here, but not too many, all things considered.
Yeah, four probes for an adept. That's not not too bad trade from either side.
Right. Yeah, as I was mentioning, you can kind of tell, like, especially with that shade into the main, okay, they don't have a shield battery in place. Maybe my Oracle does more damage in the main. Or, yeah, there's not quite as many probes in the natural. Maybe I don't go to the natural. You can kind of figure out things on the fly with your strategy. We're seeing a lot of stalkers. Will we see a second Oracle? He has enough money. He is supply blocked, I believe. Yes, he won't be able to make one. Yeah. Oh, a Void Ray. Okay, we're seeing the Void Ray follow up. This Oracle still should get a bit of damage done. There are stalkers in position in the natural, though, so we'll see if that comes into play here. Looks like it will.
Yeah, I think this is going to come down to reaction time. Just paying attention. Here we go.
Right. Oh my god, the damage comes out so quickly too from the Oracles. Are we going to see another pick off there? No. Flies into the main. Oh, and there's no units over here. There's three pylons being placed down behind there. Perhaps we can get a shield battery on top of that. Spawn not opting to chase after those pros, but even having those be pulled for a while is economic damage that he's looking for. So. And we have a Void Ray follow-up, a second Stargate. Okay, so yeah, we are going to see kind of like that ground style with a bit of Void Rays mixed in. We are going to see as well some Revelation being used. I like that out of spawn. We don't see that very often in the gold side of things, man. We see that a lot higher up. Diamond and Masters, we usually have a lot of activity with the Oracles in addition to the harass. And yeah, spawn making good use of that, kind of able to keep tabs on the buildings that are here. Sees, at least hopefully he sees that the blink was being researched there, or something was being researched.
Let's see. So Spawn put down his second Stargate, so he has 2 Stargates now. It looks like he's just gonna go, keep making voids and just go air toss. But
yeah,
and we get a Twilight.
His preferred style seems to be kind of a mix of both. I've known some players to just dedicate all to Sky Toss, and then some players to dedicate all to like a Charge Lot or Blink Stalker, Mortal focused ground. Archvile is very, he's known for that kind of style, like Charge Lot and Mortal Archon. But we see a bit more willingness to go with some of those voids. Oh, is he gonna pop down? Yeah, he is gonna pop down a stasis ward, and it's gonna. Oh my god, it's gonna trap all of those probes on the gas there, and he's actually gonna turn on the lasers and go back in, picking up another 3 workers. This is really good harass on the side of spawn, and behind it taking a third as well. This is some good pressure, really good pressure. You can see the nerves are definitely gone, at least in this game for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting too. If you look, Shiro is floating, 1.5k because he's been so busy just dealing with his harass. But Spawn, he's at 80, 100, or he's been spending his money very well.
Yeah, And the gases are now just being retaken in the main, at least. Will they be taken in the side, or in the natural on the side of Shiro? It doesn't look like he's able really to make anything more than zealots at this point, just with his economy the way it's set up. Does he have charge? If it were me, I'm going charge here and I'm dropping a bunch of gates, because you have to at least use the money that you have, or, you know, drop down if he has a forge already. He does. So drop down a nexus and some cannons, and then play with the units that you want, but just less of them, because you don't have that much gas. It's really up to them how they decide to do that. But again, we saw a little bit of that activity with that Oracle, just keeping tabs. Probably saw those high temps as well. Flying into the main, probably sees that Templar Archives. Not really much of a stylistic change out of him though. Just still happy continuing to make those void rays. That can be kind of deadly if you get a decent count of archons out.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I would like to see these High Templar morphed into an Archon.
Yeah, that'd be nice. A lot of these Sky Toss units just love to stack on top of each other, and those Archons can make quick work of that for sure. Or at least to tank, and then you get some Blink Stalkers behind him.
And so Shiro's finally taking his third, but yeah, he's still floating. He's been floating 1.5, 2k for so long, and definitely needs to put down some more gateways. And yeah, it looks like he's doing it now. So.
Okay. Third's going down. The gases are being taken at the third of spawn. He's got a bit more of that economic advantage in that sense. A bit higher gas count for him too. So I'm not sure what the style is here, or the decision making for spawn. Is he gonna max out and then push across, or is he gonna... Yeah, okay, he's making some activity here. He's got 6 void rays. That might be enough to take it based on how little army Shiro happens to have here. At least put some pressure on. Here comes that Oracle, even still alive. Oh, it might actually go down. No. Oh, and the blink snipes it. That's very good, very good. But that's all opening up an opportunity here. Spawn can kind of sneak in there and get some damage. Targets down that battery right off the bat. That's going to really help in this fight. I'd like to see these zealots move around a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, this might just be overpowering.
Yeah, that's a hard army to kill, man. Like looking at the active forces tab right now, it's kind of indicative of how this fight's going to go. Again, not overextending is Spawn. He doesn't want to just lose those voids for free. He's going to fight with the rest of his army. It can be kind of hard too when you're attacking kind of like this, where like half your army decides to attack not refinery, the assimilator there, or like right into here, like a lot of your army is attacking the gates, where you kind of want to... Yeah, okay, so we see some target fire with these voids. That's exactly the response to that. Make sure all your units are involved in the fight, and GG is called. That's going to be a 2-0 sweep. GG for Spawn. Okay.
Spawn's on a roll today.
Spawn advances to the finals. Yeah. I can't say I'm surprised, man. It says he's silver 1. I would say that he's definitely like well into gold. He's a very good player. As we saw, the activity with that Oracle, the harass that he was capable of, very, very good stuff. And he's performing really quickly for his level 2, 117, right? Very fast. Not to take anything away from Shiro 2. They had the right idea, but just there was so much pressure put on by that Oracle, and that can be really hard to mitigate. Going blink is good, but you need to have the units kind of, ready to go in the right spots. And he kind of did. He had a stalker on the ledge there in the natural, but losing 4 probes right off the bat to that first adept was the beginning of their harass. And then the Oracle follow up, no shield battery for those poor probes in the natural and main. And then beyond that, it was about getting units back, probes back onto gas, and didn't look like they had the economy that they wanted to have for the composition that they wanted.
Yeah, I think also Spawn's just been winning all of his games with his Oracle. He's getting 10 drones or 10 probes every single game, and just getting so far ahead economically. Yes, definitely. He's very strong with it too. Like good micro. I only saw really one example of kind of a miss micro, a bit poor target firing on like 3 probes in one of the games, but other than that, just really good damage. And then keeping it active enough to go back in and drop down a stasis for it and even get more damage beyond that. Especially at this level too, it can be hard for players to remember that they got stasis, right? So even that can be almost a temporary kill on those probes until
they remember to issue a command again.
All right then.
Okay.
So let's see. Okay, so we should still be seeing Shiro again if we do the third and fourth place.
Definitely. I was just gonna type that out. Okay. All right, we'll give Spawn a moment. Let him get prepared for finals, and Shiro, let them get prepared for their third and fourth place match as we move into Archvile versus Aiden, also known as Kenosua. Everybody's got 6 names. Okay. Charles, if you're out there, I should kind of message him. It's going to be delayed a bit. Okay, second match of the semis.
And this will be our last new player with Archvile. We haven't seen him play anything, so hopefully he can bring some new builds to the game. Maybe he'll show us the Phoenix builds.
Yeah, I'm excited to see his games. I was probably most excited for Group 1 in the initial bracket, whatever that means after Maturino screwed me over there a little bit. But I was most excited for that first group because Archvile and Bigsby were the 2 players that I played with the most. Perfect. Thank you. And yeah, it was unfortunate that Bigsby wasn't able to make the tournament. I would have loved to see that TVP. But even still, just to see Archvile play, his style is just so technically solid. Like, you'll see a really strong push out of him. You'll see a gateway explosion at the correct time. I think his game starts to fall off a little bit beyond that, taking the third, having the upgrades in time, teching up. Usually falls behind in tech a little bit, but to make up for that, he's got, honestly, the first 8 minutes of his game down to a science, and I really want to see him play. So,
oh, this should be a fun matchup then.
Yeah, definitely. That being said, though, Kenosua is very solid, very solid. I think he swept his games as well, didn't he? Yeah, he did. He almost lost, yes. Though. Almost lost to the Tactical Cat. It'll be exciting. I don't know who's going to win this. I think the odds are with Kenosua, but I'd like to see Archvile's PvP. I think it's pretty solid as well.
Okay, so far we have Blackburn and 2K Atmospheres banned, so just waiting on. Yeah, Pride of Old Terrace is an interesting map this time around because it has 9 bases per side, right, with a total of 18, which I think makes it the largest map we've ever had in a 1v1 map pool.
Right. Yeah. I've known a lot of these Protoss players to really favor that map too, so it'd be interesting to see if someone kind of decides to omit that out of someone else's play and kind of decide to fall back on the remaining maps in the pool.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see how that plays out, but I think they're going to keep it. Oh, okay. Alteris is gone. Okay, so we got Blackburn gone, 2K, and then Pride.
Interesting. I don't think anyone's banned Curious Minds before. So.
Yeah, people kind of kept it, but it's been last picked out of the remaining 3 too. So at the same time, it's kind of falling somewhere in the middle. Okay, so Curious Minds, and that leaves us with what is remaining here.
There you go. Berlingrad, Glittering Ashes, and Hardwire.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, guys. Just a reminder, this is our last group of semis before we move on to the 3rd and 4th place match. And then beyond that, we're going right into the finals. So everything's coming to a close here. We got 3 more. Wow.
Okay, then.
Yeah, 2 more best of
first
threes.
map will be Hardwire, and then second is Berlingrad. And the decider will be Glittering Ashes.
Okay. Perfect. Let me just write that in some notes here.
Yeah, that's what I was doing too.
There's a lot of on-the-fly stuff I'm trying to keep up with. Okay, Hardwire first. Yeah, cool. Perfect. Thank you for that. Okay.
And here we go, the final semi-final match, deciding the last challenger for spawn in the finals.
That's right. That is right. PvP finals. No one could have seen it coming. Especially in gold. I think the race distribution down in gold is heavily favoring Protoss too. You never can tell with small Discord communities. It can kind of be a mixed bag, but I see a lot of Protoss players.
Yeah, I think generally the lower or lowest leagues are Terran, your majority Terran, but I know Protoss is definitely most concentrated up at GM right now. I think it's like 66%.
Coincidence? I think not. Yeah, I guess at a campaign too, people kind of, play the campaign and go, okay, I'm gonna play Jim Raynor.
Yeah, well, the first campaign's free, and the other 2 you have to pay for. So
right. I've also seen that with WoW. I tried to get my buddy to play WoW once, and he's like, "I'm a human. I'm gonna play human." So, I mean, you have the option, man. You can play a bunch of different stuff. Okay, let's make sure these guys are ready to go. Looks like they are. Okay. Hardwire. I know this has been, I think this has been a favorite of Archvile's as well. I think he picked it first, didn't he? Regardless, I'm not surprised to see it.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, okay. It's what he's comfortable with. He's kind of practiced that in, I think, most of our games. So we'll see how he does. I don't know if we'll end up seeing like a full macro game out of either of these guys. Maybe we will. Maybe something happens in the mid game and we have to go late. But we'll find out as we play our final match in the semis. And spawning down here in the bottom left of Hardwire, a guy who I've mentioned favors this map and who's technically in his first game in the tournament as he got buyed in the quarterfinals. This guy is P-Goose Calciferous.
I was looking forward to hear you try to say that name.
Yeah, right. Just on the fly, I got it.
Oh yeah, we might be on east.
Yeah. Oh god.
I don't know if they'll be able to, we might have to speak in party chat.
Oh yeah, we might. That's right. Oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like he's okay.
Oh, he's fine. Okay. Spawning up here in the top right.
Yep.
Not a member of P-Goose, although potentially in the future a member of P-Goose. He's a very good Protoss player. PvP is pretty up to snuff. I think is his favorite matchup. He is Kenosua.
Yeah, and of course, Kenosua had to work his way up through the quarterfinals, so he's already played a match, already won, so he's warmed up. The nerves may not be getting to him as much anymore.
That's a very good point. We're seeing kind of a unorthodox wall, but it's also orthodox for Archvile. He really prefers this style, and it's good because your pylon's very close to where you need to drop the battery, and that's really the only purpose of that wall is to make sure that you can pop down a battery. So, oh, okay, and probe v probe action denies the scout of Kenosua. He actually can pop down some tech here in secrecy. I don't know that he will. I think he'll open with probably 2 stalkers. That's kind of a style he's preferred. There's so many pylons here on the side of Kenosua. I'm not really sure what's going on there. A lot of his early minerals are going into pylons when he could be popping down again a second gate or another nexus or something. So, oh, speaking of pylons, there's a lack of pylons over here on the side of Calciferous. I don't want to call him Calciferous so much all game. I'm not doing it. Archvile. And he switches. It looks like he goes for Stalker Sentry. He's going to Chrono Boost after that supply block there. It sucks to see that because he opened up 2 gates and Kenosua opened up 1 gate with a bunch of pylons. So you kind of can abuse that if he were able to see that. I'm not sure if he ended up sending a scout to the other side of the map. He didn't. He kind of plays in the dark. Honestly, that's a choice that he makes. He's going to obviously make the sentry, so eventually he's going to find out. But he does like to play in the dark in the earlier portions of the game, not necessarily sending a scout across.
I think this is quite an interesting game because the last one, we had both Protosses who were doing the same build order, first 3 minutes, and they were both 1 gate expanding. And this game, we're seeing all sorts of different crazy stuff.
Yeah, this looks like one of my games when I think I'm, I got a plan going into the game and then something happens, like I'm fighting a probe down the bottom right. I mean, he does have a Stargate, or bottom left, but he does have a Stargate, so we might see an Oracle pop out here pretty quick, but yeah, at least he's going to send the Hallucinated Phoenix across and see what he can find. At least check the Nexus timing, because his is definitely a lot quicker. Very good scouting, doesn't lose it too to those units, so that's good. He does see, again, something important to note is the shield battery in the main, so he's going to be fine against any Oracle pressure, even though he starts 1 up. Maybe he looks to do some damage in the natural, we'll see. He doesn't see any tech as well. Well, the robo at the front, but that's about it. Nothing beyond that. No Twilight with it as well. As Warp Gate finishes up, we're starting to see some gateways come out for Archvile. Yeah, oh, okay, another Hallucinated Phoenix on the side of Archvile this time. Kind of sees the Twilight. Doesn't see anything researching though. I don't know if he checked that specifically. Oh, and does he have the unit in place to stop these? Oh, he's got the probe, but it's not going to be... Oh, it's not going to be in time. Like... Oh my god, these adepts are going to make it into the main. And we've seen this happen before in their custom games. Oh, a bit of poor target firing there for Kenosua. He's only actually going to get 2 probes there. That is a bullet dodged for Archvile. That could have been so much more deadly. And this Oracle is coming in. There are stalkers in place, so we'll see what happens here. He's not watching. That Oracle's just going to fly right through. Oh, and it just dies for free.
Well, they both lost their harass pretty much for free, so they're still even.
So, okay, well, check the box on this. Could go a bit further into the game than it should. We might actually have a late game PvP. I don't know that we're going to see necessarily Sky Toss specifically. Again, we're going to see more of a ground focus with some Void Rays mixed in for Archvile, and we're seeing kind of a ground focus with Immortals for Kenosua.
For a moment there, Archvile had a Phoenix queued up. I got really excited, but then he canceled it and built Void Rays.
Right? I want to see it. I want to see double Stargate Phoenix. It's so good, especially into Immortals with no blink. We do see the Twilight finishing now, so we might see blink or charge or something, but you can abuse, even if you have a shield battery in position, as soon as you have a decent number of Phoenix, like that's not even going to matter at that point. Much like it doesn't matter if you have 2 Oracles and you're target firing individual probes. That shield battery doesn't have enough time to recharge the shields of those probes, and you actually get a kill instantly. Kenosua is going to scout He's going to see a bunch of Stalkers, and he's going to be happy because he's going Immortals, and Immortals do fare pretty well against that. +1 is finishing up for him as well. We're seeing some more gateways come out of Archvile. Yeah.
I'd really like to see, really all the players, I think, take their thirds earlier. I mean, we're 6 minutes in, they both have enough money for it, so.
Yeah, this is something very indicative of, double Stargate. Oh my god. Okay, so here we go. As I said, we're not going to have Stargate, and, we actually are. I think some Immortals just to hold off in the early game. Perhaps doing some scouting, because Archvile's done this before too, where he's gone for some blink aggression. Maybe just holding off, staying safe in the early game, and then transitioning into late game Protoss, Air Toss specifically. I've seen it out of Archvile, an over-reliance on Stalkers as well, especially into Stargate play. And the moment we start to see more and more carriers coming out, Stalkers tend to fall off. You need some kind of tech response. You need Void Rays can do pretty well, so if he keeps pumping those, that's good. We're seeing ground upgrades. It looks like the Stargate's kind of been pushed to the side. There's not a lot of gas on the side of Archvile either. It'd be nice to see, again, like you say, a third being taken because Kenosua is taken already. But yeah, we might see an over dependence on Stalkers, and then if we see some kind of transition into carriers or Tempest or something like that, well, Tempest to be a bit easier to deal with Stalkers, but it's possible we see an over reliance on Stalkers.
I was thinking too, when Kenosua put down his 2 Stargates, I think he may have done that in response to his scout with his observer. Right, he saw Archvile was making some voids, and he's thinking, well, I'm making Immortal, so I have ground tech, I need to go with Stargate to counter. But
yeah,
Archvile was going back to the Stalkers. He's not really making any voids, so
right. And that can be kind of the downside of his play is, as I mentioned before, just that Stalker focus. If he's hitting early on, it can be great. Unfortunately, right now, from what he's seeing, it's 2 Immortals, and those can be picked off with Stalkers. Let's not imagine like that's not a possibility. For sure it is. But in seeing that, he's probably not going to want to fight into those Immortals and Void Rays. Those can be completely devastating to Stalker aggression. Especially if you have some Sentry Force Wheels with it as well.
Yeah, I'm liking the upgrades. That's something I haven't really mentioned too much, but right now Archvile is up in upgrades, and his are going to finish before Kenosua.
Right. We're just seeing, I believe, the 1 Forge for Kenosua, and I've seen this before out of Archvile. One thing specifically with the upgrades as well, I want to see Chrono Boost. I want to see a lot more Chrono Boost being used.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily see that. We almost see full energy on both of these Nexus, and the third one is rapidly climbing. Dumping it right into your upgrades is a great option. Any kind of Stargate or tech focused units, Immortals, anything out of a Robo or Stargate, you can Chrono Boost those as well. And just use it. It's such a valuable tool. I get that having energy in the bank just in case you got to do a recall is good, but at the same time we're at full energy and now we have no use. We're not actually getting any more energy on these Nexus.
Yeah. So Archvile just scouted. He saw the 3rd base, all full mineral saturation, and he saw a bit of Kenesua's army, and went back home and put down a fleet beacon. So fleet beacon Templar archives. So it'll be interesting to see how he responds.
Right. And even as we were mentioning before, oh, there we go, some Chrono Boost on the upgrades. That's good. We had talked about the Chrono Boost, but that can be, if you're down economically, you can kind of catch back up with that mechanic as well.
Yes.
I don't know that he's going to see this observer either, so everything that Archvile makes, he's going to have tabs on.
Upgrade complete.
Nice. Seeing Archons. Okay, Kenosua is going into carriers, so looks like we'll kind of see a big Stalker Archon ground army against some Sky Toss this game.
Right. Another thing that's possible too is, oh, wait, did Kenosua just attack his own forge? Oh, was he blocked in? He was blocked in. That's why. Oh my god. He popped that fleet beacon down and couldn't get probes out.
Interesting.
Okay. Another thing that can happen too here is there can be too many probes being made on the side of Kenosua, if he has too little of an army, even though it's the right tech, provided Archvile has less workers and nothing happens until late game, you can get a bigger army and win that last late game fight.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, right now Archvile's army is, it's about even. Although he does have a lot of zealots, and so I'm more worried about his anti-air, because right now only his stalkers and archons can, fight those carriers and void rays.
Right. Yeah, that's probably going to be a pretty one-sided fight there, especially if we start to see a bit more, some archon focus out of Kenosua, something just to get rid of all of those zealots. It can be a good meat shield on the ground, but like you say, there's nothing that can really attack up. A few voids and stalkers, but that's about it.
Well, both players are about maxed out now, so I think we're about to see our first engagement.
Yeah, we are seeing some carriers behind this attack for Archvile, so if he can manage to do some damage and then maybe switch his tech from all these zealots into something a bit more useful, we'll find out as, the Void Rays versus Void Rays battle has begun, and the carrier the carrier interceptors are screwing with the AI of Archvile, and he wisely backs up. As soon as you engage a fight with carriers, you have to target fire. If you do not, your units are just going to start blindly firing around you, and we've seen that. And behind this, we have some more carriers on the way for Kenosua. Again, some chrono boost here. If you're in this position as Archvile, you want to get more units out right now. Like you're down almost half the army supply. Being able to replenish immediately is imperative right now.
Yeah, I think really the zealots is what costing Archvile. It just has so many of them, and they just don't shoot up. So they can fight the ground, but by the time the ground's dead, all of your ground is going to be dead.
Yeah, and the fight is looking pretty one-sided here as those Void Rays shred the stalkers of Archvile. GG's called, and game 1 is in the books. Kenosua takes game 1.
That was a much more passive game, but the first time I think we've seen anyone max out so far.
Yeah. Another thing to note too is the APM is going to be a bit higher for count.
Yeah, 176.
Yeah, he's just recently figured out how to max out his APM. So, but that's his style. Kind of just keep his fingers all,
Yeah, moving. Yeah.
That's right. Okay. A bit of a one-sided fight at the end there, unfortunately. As he mentions, he thinks he was a bit too passive. Yeah, I'd like to see with that army comp at least a bit more pressure in the mid game, especially if you know that you're down economically. You kind of have to make something happen. So perhaps he'll take that with him into the next game and maybe put some more aggression on. We haven't seen any kind of like one base builds. That is a possibility, but I don't know that either of these guys will do that. And if it is, it's I think more likely to be Aiden Kenosua.
Also, just one last thing that occurred right at the end is Kenosua queued up a mothership. So we didn't get to see it, but it definitely would have been fun.
On the way, that's nice. I would love to see that. We had a few games. Me and him, we played some customs, and he tried to do that. We were playing Peep mode, 1v1 obs. And it's one of those modes where you can kind of show off your builds, and if you're paired up against someone you're going to beat, you can start doing gimmicky stuff like flying a mothership into the main. And we did see that. We saw that twice, so it's something that he probably could do. I'd love to see that. Okay, game 2. I'll make sure that I switch the servers as well. Just make sure that it's West Coast. On Berlingrad, correct?
Yes.
Very nice. It says Western. Yeah.
Yeah, I would be interested. I kind of hope to see different tech unit from Archvile this game. Maybe like straight into Robo or Twilight instead of Stargate.
Yeah, for sure. He's only just recently been experimenting with more of an air toss style, and he's kind of found himself as almost a hybrid Protoss where he's got a mix of both. I've got him to practice a few games with just Phoenix or just Oracles, and I think it's a bit too new of a style for him to really implement in this tournament. I would personally like to see him go with something a bit more true to form, and Charge Lot Immortal Archon would be great. As you mentioned, getting a Robo active and going Immortals, maybe even double pumping Immortals with 2 Robos would be something. I'm not sure why it keeps defaulting to Protoss. It's kind of weird, but Maybe we'll see that, maybe not. Just gonna check with the players, make sure they're good to go. Okay, good luck, have fun.
Well, this... I wonder if we're going to see something, aggressive out of Kenosua this time. He may not want to go into a long macro game again, so
he might. Well, you never know when they're on the cusp of victory like this. You might kind of just press the issue. I know a lot of Koreans love to do that when they're up in a series. I just don't know that we'll see it. As you mentioned before earlier, you wouldn't recommend that people kind of stray too far away from what they find comfortable in a tournament, right? So might not see it, but I'd love to see it.
Yeah, it's definitely true. You can feel a lot more comfortable when you're up 1-0. It's like you can afford to lose this game, so maybe try something that might give you that free win.
That's right. Okay, Berlingrad. Spawning up here in the top left of Berlingrad, we have Archvile from Team P Goose.
Alright then, should I do this one?
Yeah.
Okay. And the bottom right, the red Protoss, currently up 1-0, one game away from the finals. We have Kenosua from Silex.
I know it's a possibility too. I've shown Archvile some 12 pylon 13 gate stuff too, and what that is, you don't even make a probe right off the bat. You basically just get the soonest pylon that you can get with the soonest gate, and then you get a quick cyber on top of that, and then you proxy a Stargate, and then you get an Oracle in their base at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and at that point they basically have like a stalker, unless they're opening up double stalker and see it coming and have units in position. You can generally get like 7 or 8 kills right off the bat. And what's hard with that is you can pair that up with another Oracle. Nothing's stopping you from making a second one, as long as you keep the first one alive too. Even if they pop down a shield battery, you come back a minute later and then you start target firing probes. And even if they have units in position, you get another 3-4. You can kind of snowball that early game. Again, I don't think he's too comfortable with the Stargate opener just yet, but I would love to see that kind of style out of him.
And I know last game we kind of had a more chaotic opening. They're kind of all over the place so far. Or this game, it looks a lot better. Although his Nexus did just get blocked.
Oh my god, and he's got it queued up to go back too. Oh, that's unfortunate. I've done this a lot to these guys just to get them prepared for all the gimmicks that you can have in PvP. We haven't seen it yet, but you can throw down pylons, run the probe away. They start working on the pylon with 4 probes, and then you come back in and you drop down a cyber core. Right when you think it was over, you got a cyber on your natural too. We haven't seen much of that, although Archvile's just going to realize right now that his Nexus didn't go down. Is he going to send a probe out to pop it back down? His mineral income is... his resources are up there. Like, we're approaching 700 now. He's going to drop down that robo.
This is interesting. This is the inverse of last game. Archvile made the 2 Adepts, and then Kenosua is going defensive with the 2 Stalkers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. We ended up seeing a sentry a bit later out of Kenosua, but this time we got ops to open up with it, and the emphasis on the following 2 Stalkers as well, and then popping down the Nexus. So he's definitely going to be safe, and he's got the probe in position to block out the Adepts, and this is something he's very good at doing as well. He is going to hide that sentry just so it doesn't get picked off, and look at that. Immediately it pops down that.
Nice.
He's super solid with that. He knows that that's a very easy way to lose the game as a Protoss. If I'm him, I'm positioning my pylon so that I can drop down a battery instead of a pylon. I think that can reach, honestly, but the reason you do that is it takes longer to build. It's got more HP, and you can actually just leave it building for the duration of 2 shades, and you don't have to keep canceling and losing 25 resources over and over.
Yeah.
Even still, just pops down another one just to be safe. And okay, so the Nexus timing is still relatively the same. We got a supply block, unfortunately, for Archvile, just as he wants to get the Immortal out. But I'm liking this start out of Kenosua. He's got a pretty solid defensive setup here, decent amount of units. I think he might have screwed up. I think he might have screwed up his hallucination. Well, he's gonna see that. Oh my god, that might even screw him up. He might even see that and be like, no way, he's going Colossus. Oh my god.
I think Archvile thinks it's real. He's definitely running.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
He might even be home building. He might even just panic, throw down some shield batteries or something, and think he's getting hit with some kind of one base. Because has he seen? Oh, he's seen. He's seen the Nexus. Okay.
Now the Colossus does have, can walk up ledges, so you can scout with it. But,
yeah. How cool would that be? I would love to see that. Just this like slow ass Colossus like meandering its way over to the other side of the map and then crawling up that ledge. I should do that. I want to do that in my games.
So yeah, it looks like this game we're seeing very different. Both players going Robo and going into the Immortals. So
yeah,
this might actually lead into disruptors if either player wants to go into that later.
I would love to see that. I would love to see that, especially down here in gold where the unit control isn't quite the best. If you just focus all of your attention at least on those disruptors and make sure that you connect solidly with the other Protoss army, it can be devastating, especially if you're able to pick off important units like Immortals, Sentries, Archons, that kind of thing. Or even just mass amounts of Zealots, because the Zealot portion, the role of Zealots in the Protoss army is basically just a buffer. And then you get the tech units behind it to clear those, and then all of a sudden you have their Stalkers and Immortals are doing damage to Zealots, but they're not getting the bonus damage that they do to Armored. So the fight kind of turns on its head really quickly at that point. Hold that thought. We got 2 Adepts here into the natural of Archvile, and he's already kind of behind economically, not really having his units in position, no shield battery, nothing like that. And they're going to shade into the main, but I think he's only going to get 1 in there. Even still, he might get another couple probes here. He's going to get 1. Nope. No, it's going to turn around and fight the Stalkers. Maybe he can turn around. Nope. So no additional probe kills there, but still 6 on the side of Kenosua, dealing damage to an already bruised and battered economy of Archvile.
It's interesting. Archvile is down, 10, about 10 workers, and we haven't really seen too much harassment early on. So I think that's just a macro thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd really like to see Archvile move across. I mean, his army's about the same size, but I feel like he needs to get some damage done, or just have a presence out there, see if he can cancel the 3rd base maybe.
Right. This is we've seen this out of him before. He generally, like we see right now, he has a pretty strong army, and the economy doesn't necessarily keep up. The macro's good because he's using his gates, but he's not expanding on that. It's not an exponential development. It's not taking a 4th or a 3rd and 4th. Like upgrades. He does have the upgrades going, but he does tend to have a higher army value in his early game, and I want to see him take advantage of that. I've known him stylistically to do that, and I haven't quite seen him, perhaps because this is his first match or second match in the tournament, but first group in the tournament, not really warmed up from quarterfinals or anything. He might not necessarily be warmed up. I'd love to see it, though. I would like to see that pressure out of him for sure.
I think another factor in that too is when you don't have any scouting information, don't know what where your opponent is or what they're doing, it can be very scary to move out on the map. So if he sent a couple Zealots out, 3rd base, 4th base, just to kind of see where his opponent is, that might give him more confidence.
That's right. Yeah, and speaking of scouting, Kenosua has that observer sitting right over top of the army, so he's very comfortable knowing what he can get away with as far as economic risks, as far as army positioning of Archvile. He's got tabs on this whole game, so he's well positioned to take the advantage in the early game and mid game. Just more Immortals for him so far. We're gonna see the Fleet Beacon and more Stargates, but me personally, I'd love to see double Immortal and Robo Bay and get some, as we mentioned, double pump Immortals, or at least get some Disruptors going.
Yep. Archvile has a Warp Prism coming across, so it's possible one of the Void Rays might catch it. Oh yeah, Kenosua is, I think he expects it, so he's moving in position. But
yeah, that did, keep in mind, that did fly directly over that observer, so he would know that it is on its way. Yeah, that's why he's positioned units there to deal with that. Unfortunately, I don't think he doesn't see it. It's just outside of the vision range for both of those units, actually.
But yeah, just a couple zealots, you know, might move them into the mineral line. You could do, you know, cause quite a nuisance there.
Yeah. And it's going to be hard for him to follow up with any kind of real tech here without taking that third, or additional upgrades without taking that third. I do like that he's warped in the zealots ahead of time, as opposed to flying in an empty. Oh, he's going to lose it though right off the bat. Oh, he does get the drop off. At least 3 of those zealots. Maybe run him into the line there. Yeah. One of those zealots stays behind to fight fight the pylon, and actually those void rays aren't keeping up with the zealots, so pulling these probes off, they are going to fight back.
Yeah, get a couple kills.
Oh my god, the void rays are going to stop right shy of it too, so these actually are going to get a lot of work done here. 8 probes go down.
Probes, yeah.
Yeah, okay, and we're actually kind of evened out here a little bit. It's still 3 up on the side of Kenosua, but
yeah, Kenosua still has more bases, so they've got the same amount of probes, but Archvile has a lot of them on his natural, and they aren't really doing anything for him.
Right. One thing I like, right before doing that harass, you pop down a third as well. It's the worst feeling in the world when it gets blocked, or maybe you forgot to do it, and then you look back at your base after microing for 2 minutes, and all of a sudden you don't have a third that you thought you did. That can be really bad, but I mean, Kenosua has a whole base up at this point, and he's going to start mining out. He already is starting to mine out in the main, and soon at the natural as well.
Yeah, I'm still really worried about this for Archvile. He's got 6 Immortals, you know, 2 Adepts, but he only has 7 Stalkers, and Kenosua is going Carriers, going Big Sky Toss, so we really need to see some anti-air if Archvile's going to hold this.
Right. We'll see the response here. Just a little Zealot run by. I think those probes are going to get taken out. They aren't pulled right off the bat, but the army does move. Oh, they are pulled eventually, but yeah. At this point, these zealots are dead, but they've done what they want to do. Another 7 probes go down, and that is kind of keeping tabs on... I mean, this observer can see that the triangle base isn't taken, so he knows that that's his third, presumably, unless there's some kind of proxy base. So he can kind of tell that he's so far ahead economically, and all he has to do is just sit back, tech up, and then take a late game fight.
Yeah, we're seeing almost a 1,000 mineral difference here for Kenosua.
Yeah. I'm impressed with Kenosua's ability to spend. It's tough once you get that 4 base economy rolling. But he's producing carriers, so it's a bit easier, but even still, like, he's not floating 2 grand, 3 grand, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so yeah, that's very true.
That's very good. And it's common in gold for people to do that too, so yeah, doing really well.
Yeah, I think about 10 minutes is when even the pro players, you'll see everyone kind of start floating by that time, because that's about when you max out and kind of just start, don't have as much to spend your money on.
Right.
It's interesting. Last game, their army supplies were much closer, or their general supply was much closer all the way throughout. But this game, Kenosua has definitely got a slight advantage, I think.
Yeah, and I think his unit control seems to be a bit better too. So I think he's capable of taking fights a bit better as well. Especially given the fact he's got the carriers kind of to mess with the AI. It really puts a lot of strain on the opposing Protoss's army. They kind of have to respond accordingly. Target fire. If they have void rays, that can be a good answer, but again, they have to target fire those carriers. I don't think we're gonna see any kind of like defensive stalker target fire on anything like Immortals or anything. It's probably just gonna be a 1A, but at that point he's able to. He's stacked up and he's poised for victory, as they say.
And we also see a dark trend from Kenosua, so it looks like we might be getting some of those, like 20 DT hit squads, just go and blink on a base and then just get out.
Yeah. I will say that the ground upgrades are looking pretty good here for Archvile. He's pushing out, and if he can pop down some chronos on those forges and get 3-3 before pushing out, that might help him in the fight. Unfortunately, those probes are going to get taken down by another zealot run by. And at this point, the strategy is kind of clear for Archvile. You kind of have to commit to one final push. If anything, you can't remax. So if you can gather as much resources as you can, specifically gas, get those high-tech units going, and then win that last fight, you can still kind of win from a position like this. Or you can remain defensive, maybe try and poke at the 4th or at the 3 o'clock position or 6 o'clock position, kind of keep them back as you start to take more and more bases. But I think that had to happen a bit before. Right now I feel like it's a bit too late. It is going to come down to one final fight, and Kenosua is going to push the issue.
Yeah, I was thinking I would have liked to see Archvile not actually make any more probes, just go all out in an army now. He's pretty much all in.
Yeah, exactly.
And he really needs more anti-air. He's been building so many mortals, but those carriers are going to destroy him.
Oh yeah, and I think we're going to see it here. It's not actually a great position here too. There are Archons in the mix for Archvile, so these... Oh, actually, yeah, okay. So the the Archons are going to push through those force fields and kind of make short work of those. But yeah, they can't really get on top of these Void Rays and carriers, so it is going to be a one-sided fight, decided pretty handily, and yeah, GG's called. Kenosua takes it 2-0, and he's going to be the second player in the finals up against Spawn. So we have our finals set. We have the 2 players ready to go. I don't know who's going to win out of those 2 guys, but well, before we get to that, we're going to move into the 3rd and 4th place match in just a bit. That was a GG. Good game, guys.
Yeah, okay. I think, Kenosua was definitely just slightly better as a player, just very solid overall with his builds. Yeah. I think that's what we saw in his first game, too, so it'll be really interesting to see him play Spawn in the finals, because definitely the 2 best players.
Right. Yeah, I mentioned before that stylistically, Archvile kind of falls off a bit after 2-base play. I think we saw that in both of those games, unfortunately. I would have liked to see him kind of play a bit more aggressive. That's more of his style, is just a strong mid-game push, and we didn't really see that. But that's okay. That's okay. At the very least, as a player, you can kind of recognize that, and sometimes it is just that, figuring out what the holes in your play are and then working on that. Yeah, that was well done.
Okay then.
Okay. Okay, Aiden's gonna advance, and we're gonna invite...
So it'll be Shiro for the... Yeah, Shiro versus Archvile. Okay.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. Hopefully Shiro's still around.
Yeah, we'll give Archvile again a little second here just to compose himself, especially after a loss in semis. Kind of, it sucks. You want to make it to finals, obviously, but maybe he can compose himself and then at least get 3rd place, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm reading the chat. He's saying, just for some reason felt insecure attacking this dude. When I usually play super aggressive. And yeah, it's unfortunate to see his style come out, but again, maybe you can take that forward and just recognize that he's got to do that a bit more in future games.
Yeah, I definitely think that's part of that information scouting. It's very scary to push into someone if you don't know where they are or what they're doing.
Oh yeah, this is the Black Void, man, the fog of war. You have no idea what you're up against. Yeah,
so definitely recommend take a unit, send it out before you move out your army. Slight, very small little things help.
Right, Aiden's mentioning that he saw his comp pretty much the whole game. So yeah, he kind of sat back and was able to tech up, didn't feel too much pressure. And I think Archvile's familiar with that. Maybe not that he was being scouted the whole time, but just understood that he wasn't putting the pressure on that he probably should have. And perhaps, as you mentioned, some scouting, sending zealots out to the 3rd and 4th, just keeping tabs on where he sits economically in comparison to his opponent. Pretty good though. This has been a good tournament so far, man.
Yeah. A little too many Protosses for my taste.
Right?
But yeah, definitely some good games, good series.
Even as a Protoss, same here. But yeah. I would have liked to see... well, I mean, we saw the double Adept harass. We saw the Oracle harass. So that can be the more exciting little tidbits between PvP armies. But I would like to see some disruptors. As we mentioned before, It can be hard to control them, but they are just such an exciting thing to watch. You know, there's so much hype behind those balls going out and connecting with a bunch of that Protoss army. And as a Protoss, you know, it's really hard to split your army like that. Like Terran, we have stimmed bio, we have a bit of speed to the army, we can split them up pretty good, right? But their chances are, if they're going out, they're going to connect with something pretty good in PvP. So I'd like to see those utilized a bit more. Yeah. Maybe we might see it in the finals. Who knows? Maybe these guys are listening live, so they could kind of take that and go forward. But I don't know that they're going to take that risk too in the finals as well.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting. Yeah, the quarterfinal matches, we saw a little bit of some aggressive cheese builds, but so far since then it's all been macro.
Yeah. And again, it would have been good to see the Terran side of that, because I know that Bigsby would have been able to put a bit of pressure on some of these Protoss early, even though we have been seeing 4 units out of the 2 gates and then delayed Nexi and stuff like that. They'd probably be in a good position to hold that kind of stuff, but it would be nice to see at least. Okay. And I'll just make sure that these guys are good to go. I'll check with Archvile and make sure he's good.
Actually, I guess we could have gotten to map banning, so we'll do that.
Yeah.
I think count's a little lower, so he'll go first.
Perfect. How are you guys doing in the chat? I'm going to see your messages again 3 minutes from now, because there's a bit of a delay, just so that people who are in the games aren't stream sniping. And if they are, they're going to be 3 minutes in the past. Joke's on them. But maybe what do you guys think so far?
We'll get to see... what's that map? Pride of All Terrace. So for everyone's bandit, but you know, big map. It's definitely good for macro play if that's what you like to do.
Yeah, I think as we go further into the tournament, we're going to see more and more of that. So I'm just going to talk to chat for a sec while we do vetoes.
Okay.
Okay. I just want to real quickly mention a few things, guys. If you want to join the Discord, you can. That's where we all hang out.
Like
this
Blackburn
is where
is the first map out.
We organize these events. Is in Discord. We now have a Starcraft 2 clan that's kind of in use, but not nearly as much as the Discord. We have over 100 people in there. We have multiple games. It's not just Starcraft. We have Splitgate, League of Legends. We got WoW, Rocket League, bunch of stuff. So join if you'd like. We also have, what else was I going to say? I got to read out a couple of these too.
I'm curious.
Terran Cells, thank you for the follow.
So yeah, these are all maps that usually quite popular that are getting banned, so should be interesting to see what maps these are.
Yeah. Okay. Blackburn and Curious Minds. Oh my God, Flaminbringer with 2 M's. Flamin. Thanks for the follow. Absence of Sense, thanks for the follow as well. Hope to see you in the next tournament, man. J Diz. I almost said that wrong. Has followed. Thank you as well, man. And yeah, we're just doing the vetoes for the 3rd and 4th place match. It's a best of 3. We'll decide that, and then from there we'll move on into the finals, and that'll be it, guys. Just real quick, Aiden, that match Reno bracket, I'm just gonna type it out because you guys aren't gonna hear it for a while.
I wonder if we'll see any inspired play as well, like you were mentioning. Some of these guys have been hearing us talk about things and seeing what other people do, so yeah, maybe we'll see some new builds, or someone get inspired from Spawn or Kenosua. Okay, so map's going to be either 2K, Glittering Ashes, or Hardwire. Okay, looks like first one is Hardwire, and then Glittering Ashes.
Okay, first one, Hardwire, and then Glittering?
Yeah, Glittering Ashes. And then the final one is 2K.
Okay. Hardwire,
Cool. Well,
glittering 2K. Okay. Perfect.
okay then. Well, at least we'll see one new map with glittering ashes.
Right. Okay. Sorry, just opening up stuff here. Hardwire. All right. Cool. I think these guys are both Eastern. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because Archvile is for sure. Cool. Not too bad. It's not going too late. We're not into the 3 a.m. Starcraft casting, you know?
Yeah. Not yet.
All right. Default Terran again. That's very funny.
Yeah. Still
Glad we
best
didn't
race.
have to redo that one match too. That would have been bad.
Yeah. Alright, and they're both picking blue colors too, so this will be fun to.
Oh
fun to
yeah,
see.
great. Okay.
Yeah.
Archvile's ready. Shiro's ready.
Alright then, we'll kickstart the third place match.
That's right. On Hardwire. I would imagine it was Archville who picked it again.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, let's see if he takes that aggression into this series. I'd like to see it out of him.
Yeah, it'd definitely be good to see some like 2-base, 3-base pushes.
Right. Okay, spawning down here in the bottom left of Hardwire, we have a guy who unfortunately just lost the series, but he's back up and at him again. He is P-Goose Calciferous. Mr. Calciferous. Archvile.
Alright, and in the top right, in the light blue, looking to redeem himself from his semifinals, we have Aerith Shiro.
Very good. I just had a stroke doing that. I meant to do the little like camera tilt thing, and then I muted myself down here. So yeah, we're doing great. We're doing great. Okay. Shiro again opting not to have that wall. Hopefully I think it was Spawn that scouted before and didn't opt to send double adept in. Maybe it'll be different with Archvile. I'd like to see that out of him personally. Again, just because you can get so much damage done, and you can decide a lot of these PvPs based on that early aggression. That's me stylistically as well. I kind of like putting on a bit of pressure early, but that might not be the case. We do see 2 gates actually popping down here for Archvile.
Yeah, I think this is the first time we've seen actually 2 different builds, so I most likely see gate into core and then expand. So be double gate against single gate.
Yeah. I'm not sure how Shiro is defensively. I've known a lot of these other Protoss to kind of get more accustomed to dropping down that pylon or battery to block out those adepts. I'm not sure if Shiro's able to recognize that might be coming. That's another option that you can do too as a Protoss, is pop down a pylon right where the probe is right now, right at the ramp, kind of keep tabs on what units are coming out. But that is not the plan for Shiro. They're just going to go back to home. We got some next side coming out of both players here. No second gas out of either player either. And we are seeing kind of that more, defensive, macro-minded approach out of Archvile. He's going for the Sentry Stalker opener. It's possible to put on a lot of pressure with 4 Stalkers early. And you would think, well, if if I'm playing against Protoss, they can also have 4 Stalkers, but even still, then it becomes 4 Stalkers versus 4 Stalkers. Provided you chrono boost yours, you can get there a bit sooner, maybe mitigate some of the defender's advantage. There is actually a bit of damage that you can do with 4 Stalkers, but you do delay your tech in that regard. You do delay your Nexus as well, so they're not going to opt to do that.
You'll have to correct me on this. The way it works with Terran, at least you've got like double gas, which is more of a safer opening, usually doing TVT. I kind of figured double gateway is the same thing for Protoss, because here it looks like Shiro is ahead in workers economy. I think he's a little greedy with a single gate opener.
Yeah, definitely. I prefer this position for Shiro for sure. If Archvile isn't going to do any kind of shenanigans with the 2 gates, it is common. I know Showtime specifically does like to go with the Stalker Sentry opener as well. And you can you don't necessarily have to forego too much of your economy by doing that. But definitely if you only have the 1 gate, more of your resources are going into additional probes. And I think we're seeing that here. We only have 2 probes for Archvile, and we have 12 at the natural for Shiro. And also using that chrono boost as well. That can be the difference. Like, we're already up to 14 versus the 2 for Archvile. Just looking at the probes at the natural.
Yeah. Also, Shiro's up in the tech, or up in tech as well. Oh, and he's going Phoenix.
Yeah,
I guess
know. We just see
heard us.
That's perfect. I'm so glad. Honestly, I'd like to see another Stargate pop down too. One Stargate Phoenix isn't very intimidating. There's not really much you can get done with it. It takes a while to get really rolling, especially if that's your only production. You have like 1 gate or 2 gates. It's good to pop down that second Stargate, but I don't think we're gonna see it. This might just be another one of those mixes, a little bit of ground, a little bit of air, but when you're doing this style, it is definitely good to have some gates going, but the focus is definitely getting those 2 Stargates going. You want to get a high number of Phoenix right off the bat so you can do a high number of probe kills early.
Yeah, it looks like Archvile is just going to go into kind of more of a standard Blink Stalker build. So,
right. Yeah, Blink just finishing up now. Is he going to time that with anything? There's no gateway explosion. There is the Warp Prism coming out here, and he's kind of keeping tabs on the army of Shiro, so he can kind of decide at this point, okay, I only see 4 Stalkers, 5 Stalkers. He's getting a 3rd. Maybe I can put some aggression on. As we say that, he's moving across the map. I would like to see a bit more gates behind this. He is popping down some oh, there we go. Okay, here we go. So there's that gateway explosion. This is good because this can help supplement that army. Once you first make that attack, you can follow it up pretty well. A move command is not the way to do that, though. That is a bad way to start that fight. Oh, and the Phoenix are going to pick that up, and that's the advantage of Phoenix with these small skirmishes. You can eliminate a lot of the army right off the bat. If you had 4 or 5 Phoenix, you can lift up 4 or 5 Stalkers, right? And it's not even a matter of killing those units at that point. It's a matter of removing them from the fight.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that push from Archvile was definitely scary. He had a higher army value, but I think it took him a little too long, and he has his army split up. So I think Shiro can hold this now. Although fighting away from that shield battery.
Right, he has kind of, well, yeah, as you say that, he has pulled away from that shield battery, and he's also capable of putting a bit of pressure on that 3rd base, but he's opted not to. He's going to charge right back into the natural. We are seeing these Phoenix come over here in the natural of Archvile, and he's going to get a couple lifts off. Maybe he's focusing too much on that. No, he's going to run away with his probes, evacuating his own natural while he focuses maybe on the harass over here. I think he's forgotten about his Phoenix. This actually could be a lot of damage. He's going to push. The issue is Archvile. He's going to push up the ramp. I don't know that that's very wise. Oh, this is perfect. If he were to have, a few more sentries, he could just continuously force field that out. There's nothing to break that force field, and this was an old strategy back in the day, was to make sure your opponent's army was stuck out of the natural, and then you completely take it here. He's gonna turn and fight. He's got some more zealots joining. I'd like to see
Phoenix made it back.
Yeah, I'd like to see him produce. He's got a bunch of gates here as well. He's got just zealots coming out, and those Phoenix are going to tear those zealots apart.
Yeah, I think I didn't like those that original move out with the Phoenix. He went across, tried to harass it, but I think you really needed them at home.
Yeah,
But
that's right. Didn't really get much for it either.
Yeah, but I think Archvile, he targeted the natural nexus, and that allowed Shiro to kind of kill a bunch of his units for free, which is why Shiro held.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think Shiro is actually winning. Oh no, maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, he's got more probes, but armies are about even.
Yeah, the probes aren't mining though right now, so he's actually got half the income. Maybe he's forgotten about them. Hopefully not. He might even see his natural and just assume that they all died. Maybe he even forgot that he pulled them. But yeah, if I'm Archvile here, I would love to put pressure on that third base. That's the target for me. If you go for an early third base, I know that your natural's got the shield battery, you're more defensively postured there. I'm gonna go take that third base out, especially if your reinforcement war prism is right next to that third base. That's where you want to be fighting. At the same time, with it far away, those Phoenix kind of can't really tell where it's at though too.
Yeah, I was on Shiro's camera, and he was, looking at his Phoenix, trying to decide where to harass him. So yeah, I think he definitely forgot about those probes, which is really going to hurt him, because now he's on, 20, 30, and he's actually lower on probes than Archvile, because he doesn't have those mining.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, he's going to see that later in the game and just be like, I can't believe I just did this.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's a massive green blob on the screen too. I think he might be too focused on the 4 Phoenix that he has. Like, yeah, he's getting some worker harass done, but if 20 of your own workers are just sitting there idle, maybe it's time to drop the Phoenix.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, he might even lose one here to these stalkers too. Ooh, not quite.
Oh, not quite. Oh, here comes another push.
Yeah,
that's a lot of stalkers.
That is. These force fields might be huge if he can force field the stalkers away. Ops for Guardian Shield instead. He might actually just lose this fight. If you're that close to killing that Nexus, you might want to snipe and then get out of there. A recall is also a potential option here for Archvile. Yeah, if you're this close to sniping that Nexus, just focus fire it and then get out of there. Especially if you have a third of your own, right? Oh, yep, I think inadvertently he's going to end up killing that Nexus too.
I think the Zealots are going to win this fight, actually.
Yeah, Zealots are very, very effective against Stalkers, especially if you have your own Stalkers behind them. The Stalkers will deal bonus damage to the Armored, and then the Zealots kind of tank and prevent that from your opponent. So yeah, he's winning the fight pretty handily here. Again, all these probes are just sitting here idle. Oh my god, that is the story of the game. I would think. Yeah.
Although Shiro's still floating like 3k, so even if those probes were mining, it may not have really helped his army out that much. But
yeah. That can be the difficulty with going Phoenix, is you put an overemphasis on them and then you forget about the ground side of things. All of a sudden you got 3k in the bank. GG's called. Archvile winning game 1 in this best of 3.
Yeah, hi. That was a cool game. A unique style, something we haven't seen so far. But definitely think Shiro's never gone Phoenix before. Right? Otherwise, two Stargate, you need a lot more. But.
Right. Yeah, it can be hard too. Even up in Diamond, like trying to pick up things appropriately and dodging blink stalkers. It's hard to control Phoenix sometimes. It may not look like it when you fly in there and pick up 20 and then leave, but it's not always like that sometimes, And you can also pick up too many. And then you have a bunch of your Phoenix just sitting there, right? Like we did see that in that game. We had 4 Phoenix and 2 of them picked up probes and the other 2 went away. So then we just had 2 Phoenix sitting there doing nothing, right? Neither one of them could shoot the other one that was picked up.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, Phoenix definitely aren't an easy unit to use, though. I see even master players that go into Phoenix, screw up their control, and just lose.
Right. Okay, next map.
Okay. Will be Glittering Ashes. First time we see that map in the tournament so far.
Nice. Yeah, I do like this map, honestly. I really do. It can be interesting. There's a lot of late game attack paths. You kind of have to cover a lot of ground. I like it as a Zerg player when I have lurkers everywhere and I just kind of leave them, I get harassed with Zealots and they all die. I don't have to look at the corners of my map. I kind of just focus on my main army. I wonder if we're going to see some kind of late game styles here, or if we're going to push right across for some early 2-base aggression.
Yeah, some early aggression in this map. It'll definitely be interesting to see, because it's a larger map, larger than all the other ones we've been playing on. So I'm also interested to see if we're going to, see some a different build from Count, because he's all he's been going all macro so far.
Yeah. I liked the idea to have the sentries with the stalkers there. That was kind of a huge maneuver, especially in stalker versus stalker fights. But there were the Phoenix as well, and Phoenix can kind of pick those units up and get rid of them right off the bat. But even still, I like the idea to have the force field on the ramp. It was perfectly executed. If he had a bit more energy on the sentries, he could have kept that going. And that's partly due to activating both Guardian Shields at the same time. It takes a lot of energy to activate those, and you only need one. So having two over top of each other doesn't amplify the effect anymore. So you might as well save that energy for some force fields, especially because Archons aren't out. There's nothing to break that force field. And I know that that's a stylistic choice of Aiden as well, Kenosua. He really likes to have those sentries in there as well to cut off the army. And then you end up picking off basically half, get some free immortals, some stalkers, that kind of thing. I don't know if we'll see that again per se. I haven't seen that too much out of Archvile. Maybe that's something he's been practicing on the side. But I'm excited to see what happens. Just going to take a bit of a break here. Archvile's taking a little bathroom break, so he'll be back in a bit, and then we'll get game 2 going. There's been a lot of 2-0s. Have we had a 2-1? I don't think we've had a decider match yet, have we?
Yeah, I was just looking at that. No, everything's been 2-0 so far.
Yeah. That might change in the finals, man. Those two guys that are there in the finals are really, really good. I think they're going to be a good match for each other.
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they do.
Yeah. I think if I were to guess, I think Kenosua might take it. He's been looking so solidly all throughout the game too, not just like early on. He's not getting 2-0s just from like one gimmick in the early game. He's got a pretty solid foundation with which he's built his Protoss play, right? And yeah, I not to take anything away from Spawn, I think he's capable of that as well. I think his advantage would come in manipulating that, messing with that a little bit, throwing in some gimmicky builds, throwing those DTs and those oracles. But because we've discussed Kenosua's solid play, he's most likely going to have a lot of stuff in position there. Shield batteries, units at the back, that kind of thing. I think Kenosua's advantage comes in the late game as well. I haven't seen necessarily I haven't seen Spawn in the late game, I don't believe. And if I have, it's been kind of like late mid game. I don't know that I've seen like a carrier versus carrier example, so I haven't really anything to go off of there, but I do think that the advantage goes to Kenosua in those late game fights.
Yeah, I think I agree. Yeah, I don't think we've seen Spawn go into a distance game so far, so I just don't know how he would fare in the late game. And Kenosua is definitely solid with his teching up, going into the carriers and the voiders.
Right. It's been exciting so far, man. It's been a good tournament. Good turnout too. Yep. 16 people in chat. Say hello.
Yep. Definitely fun. First time I've ever casted a tournament too. So.
Man, can I just add, you are doing a great job. Everything that I suck at doing, you're doing. It's awesome. I'm like, I think that guy won that map. You're like, yeah, keeping track of stuff. Super good, man. Really good. And I'm not paying you shit. You just came out of nowhere. You're like, man, I'd love to cast with you. So thank you for offering, man. It's super cool.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate you letting me. So I love being in this game, and since I couldn't play in the tournament, figured I'd be watching it anyway. So
yeah, well, hopefully one day if we get enough people involved, I'd like to have some kind of like Diamond Plus tournament. Not to exclude Platinums, but we'll find something. Maybe Platinum, Low Diamond, and then Upper Diamond Masters, something like that. But I do eventually want to have more tournaments or more events. Also custom games, just like some kind of Archon crazy stuff that we've been doing before. Those are a lot of fun.
Yeah, some Archon tournaments might be interesting. I know
that would be so sick. Yeah. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. Me and Spawn had been talking about maybe doing our placements in Grandmaster because it's very easy. Sorry, not Grandmaster, Archon. It's very easy to get Grandmaster in Archon mode. It had been in the past. If you look at the contender list for Archon mode, the MMR is like plat. You know, like all you got to do is play a decent amount and play often enough that you're part of that list. And then, yeah, you can have that GM logo on your team games. It would be insane.
Also, I think Count is back, so I think we're good to go.
Perfect. Okay, we'll get started.
You know, it's actually kind of surprising. With 4 Protoss, we still haven't seen a cannon rush.
I know, right? Yeah, especially in PvP. It's pretty easy to cannon rush a Protoss. I personally like going up against it because you just cancel your gas, throw a forge down, and then you hold the high ground. And
yeah.
That's a good way to hold that off. I guess it's kind of similar with Terran too. You kind of throw a bunker up and make sure they can't get anything up on the high ground.
Yep, yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah. Okay, so Shiro and Archvile ready to go. Protoss, good luck, have fun.
Well, let's hope this isn't the last game of the match, and we can actually go, the full distance, get to the decider match.
Right. It'd be nice. Yeah, it'd be nice to see the third match in these best of threes. It's gonna be interesting going into the game or the best of 5 to see if we go just for 3 games or if we go the whole 5. I personally would like to see 5. It's not been too long of a night. But yeah, at least for right now, I'd love to see a third map as well. A lot of 2-0s.
Well, if there's any map to do it, I think this is the one. This is the largest map we've played on so far.
Right. Okay, spawning down here in the bottom left of Glittering Ashes. We have a guy who's up 1 game in a pretty intense PvP. He is P-Goose Archvile.
Alright, and on the top right in the light blue, hoping he can take it the distance, win this game, and give us a decider map for the first time, we have Aerith Shiro.
It's hard for me to see that wall, or the lack of a wall. It
yeah.
pains me. As a Protoss, I'm just like, my teeth are out, man. I want blood.
I understand that, yeah.
I need to... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, at least they're building both their gateways in their main base, so nothing fancy yet.
Right? How disappointing. It's like they picked the wrong race. Do they know that they're Protoss? Where are the proxies? My god. Looks like, I think, probably just 1 gate out of both players here. Unless we see another gate pop down right about now. Yeah, it's looking like a 1 gate expand. Oh! Yeah, core first. Expand out of Shiro.
Second gate for Archvile.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So yeah, there's a divergence in the builds here a little bit.
Interesting. Zealot first?
Yeah, that is actually. We don't see that very often.
Or queued up 3 Zealots too.
Oh my god. Is he going to put some like early game Zealot rush pressure on? I'd love to see it. Especially after, maybe he didn't notice last time, but he might have seen the 1 gate opener. He might be a bit more aggressive, feel like he can afford to put some pressure on. And he can, if it's only going to be 1 gate opener, and then maybe a little bit of late tech, all of a sudden you have nothing prepared for an early Zealot pressure. It is just the 1 so far. It looks like the other Zealots are canceled just in favor of getting that Nexus down.
But they should still be able to... Actually, no, that Stalker should be out in time, so we'll see. We'll see.
At the very least, though, it's going to give him at least some additional scouting information. His probe is over there seeing stuff anyways, but, like as soon as the probe dies, maybe they pop down something at the front, and then that Zealot can pop in there and see that, but it looks like that isn't going to be the case yet. That tech might go down in the main. Also, I've seen proxy 4-gate before, and you just build zealots. That's a pretty common thing to do in PvP. We haven't seen that yet. Perhaps these guys don't even know that's an option. You could also recall this zealot if you don't want to lose it, or you could just, you know, take a probe kill, maybe a second probe kill, and be happy with that. Yep. Oh, he's gonna get a second one.
Nice.
All right, that pays for itself, and it's worth it because you get that scout off too. You don't necessarily see the tech. Yeah, that's pretty good though.
Yeah, that's looking pretty solid from Archvile so far.
Yeah. He's getting 100 gas again, and then as soon as he does, he's got to put more probes on gas in the main. I've noticed that he favors the mineral income for sure, and that's good as you want to get a lot of probes going right away, but you also want to chrono boost those probes too. And that's kind of a hole in his economic play early, is he'll put the mineral focus and then not chrono boost the probes, so you kind of hamper your own game plan a little bit. But I do want to see what he does with his like 100 gas here, provided he doesn't keep making more stalkers. I want to see like a Twilight or a Robo pop down or something like that.
Okay, and so Shiro just put down Twilight and a Robo, so I'm thinking Blink. Blink into War Prism, but we might be seeing some Immortals too.
Yeah, I would love to see some pressure. If he's going to chrono boost all these units out of the gates and not probes, do something with those extra units, you know? Right now he's up quite a bit of army supply, 500 for minerals, 200 for gas. That's 700 total. He could just march across, and, you know, that's 6 stalkers to the 1, no shield battery, or sorry, 2 stalkers, 6 to 2, no shield battery. There is the Immortal coming out, but, you know, if you have even 1 zealot in the mix and the Immortal's hitting the wrong thing, all of a sudden that could be game ending.
Yeah, I definitely agree with these type of, you know, the more defensive 2-gate, you know, or double gas builds. You put a lot of money into your army at the cost of your economy, so you want to do something with that army before it gets obsolete.
Right, especially early too. Like the whole point of getting your economy rolling early is to get that exponential income, and it's not necessarily there right now. Every time I look at the natural of Archvile, I don't see probes being made. It's fine if you're focusing on cutting probes to get additional workers out, maybe drop down extra gates and then do a big push, which he's known to do, but we're not necessarily seeing it right now. And if he's really going to commit to it, he has to commit to it. There's no third behind it, there's no upgrades, you know, you just 7-gate 1 robo kind of aggression. He is going for charge though. We are going to see charge. Yeah, charge can do well into Stalker Immortal, but you can't wait like he did in one of his games before. I believe it was against Kenosua. You end up with a lot of zealots, and then they, you know, you waited too long. Now they have air toss, and it doesn't really help you any.
Yeah, I do find it's interesting he decided to get charged, because he doesn't even have a zealot out right now. So
yeah, perhaps like if he's not taking the gases at the natural, maybe if he pops down the rest of these gates, it's just going to be straight zealots from here on out, and then whatever he gets for you know, for gas income can go into maybe an observer or something like that, or maybe an upgrade, a quick +1 with that push. That would have already had to happen at this point, I think. Yeah, he's set up for a lot of zealots to come out, but at the same time, like, he's kind of hampered that. When you do that, you want to get that economy rolling really early. You want to get 16 out of 16 on your natural, get all of that mineral income, and then do that push. Then we didn't see that.
I think also 6 gates.
Yeah,
he's 5, so yeah, 1 more would be good. There we go. Yeah, it looks like he's getting them now.
Yeah, so okay, he's up to 8 gate charge lot all in with +1 is a common thing, but people can hear that and go, okay, I need 8 gates and then I need a forge and get +1, but there's a timing to it all, right? And normally Archvile's really good at hitting those timings. I think it might just be a little bit of the tournament nerves too. Things kind of just end up a little bit different when you play in a tournament, or even when you play in a custom game. Like, you can go on ladder and just kind of do your normal plan, everything feels normal, but as soon as you go into these custom games or tournaments, your play starts to change on you, even unintentionally, right?
So he has a warp prism across the map. I'm thinking he's gonna warp in some zealots. Oh well, he put in a
he might be able to get a couple right by the gas, but other than that, it's kind of blocked by the map there, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good scout though. He does see that army pushing across. So if I'm him, I'm popping down. Yeah, a bunch of units.
Yep.
I'm fighting by my shield batteries. He's probably gonna have to give up that third base. So if I'm him, I'm taking a probe and hiding it over by the line third, the 6 o'clock position, and maybe getting ready to take that instead after. Oh, his observer goes down too. You can kind of see that he's posturing on the map though. If he holds this ramp, this is a good spot too. A couple force fields on that ramp can really turn the tide of battle, especially if you got a little zealot harass behind it. Let's see if he reacts quickly enough. Shiro.
It doesn't look like he's seeing it.
Oh, he's just decided to full commit. He knows it's happening, and now he's going to try and break up that ramp. Let's see what happens here. Guardian Shield's pop for Shiro. Oh, Guardian Shield instead of the force field. I'd love to see force fields. Even still, all of these zealots are soaking up all of that Stalker and Immortal damage, but as soon as these zealots die, this is going to be a fight that Archvile does not want to take, because all of these units are going to start dealing bonus damage to the armored. But as I say that, those zealots end up coming up clutch. The reinforcement zealots can start tanking a lot of the damage here. His Immortals are very exposed here too.
Yeah, I don't like Archvile moving up there, but his zealots have just killed 31 probes, so
oh my god, yeah.
The Shiro's all in here.
Yeah, that third got cleaned out. That natural got cleaned out as well. As long as he holds here, like, maybe even sacrifice the third at this point and just pull back to the natural, fight at your shield batteries. Doesn't look like he has to, though. These zealots are proven to be a problem for Shiro, and now the Immortal is exposed. Maybe a little bit more control, and he can target fire that down. It is going to go down anyways, and this is the power of that zealot buffer in your army. If you can warp in a few more, you know, zealots and get in there, he'll be okay. Even still, taking even fights right now is huge, as these zealots are just the story of this game. Combined, they must have 40-50 kills at this point. This is insane.
Random Colossi?
Yeah, Colossi. Well, I mean, maybe to deal with the deal with the zealots, but it's just not in time, and then not at the right position. Goes down pretty quickly, and GG's called. And
nice, okay.
There you go. A 2-0. Third place is going to Archvile. Fourth place to Shiro. And guys, we are moving on to the finals after a brief break. That was a great game. Very good harass. Very good harass.
I like that in there. I mean, Shiro definitely had some opportunities to push in and actually, you know, either win the game, get a base trade going, but our Archvile had a good positioning, good decision making, was able to hold on well.
Yeah, that's right. And holding that ramp was pretty good too. And the decision to have all of those charge lots come in, and we didn't really see much of a zealot buffer for Shiro. We had a lot of the right units for dealing damage to Stalkers and Immortals, but we didn't really see it versus Zealots. Zealots were able to tank a lot of that damage, and then the Stalkers and Immortals are just shooting bombs from the back. It was great.